Good morning and welcome to session 3 of EdLeadS 2021. I am Nabila and I'll be your MC for today. First of all, thank you to Ministry of Higher Education and all partners for EdLeadS 2021. Thank you to our local partners, Lenovo, CREST, Twimbit, GigXGlobal, Maybank, TikTok, and our international partners, Sensible Soccer and GB8. We are also streaming live on TikTok. So check out our handle at EduCity Official, and registered participants will stand a chance to win a merchandise from Sensible Soccer. How to win this merchandise? First 100 registered participants who complete all 10 series will definitely win these prizes. If you watch all 10 series and be active in the Q&A session, you will stand a chance to win as well. Our grand prize, none other than a signed Manchester United home jersey by current players like Cavani, Rashford, and many more. You will receive an e-certificate upon completing the survey, and for those who have completed all 10 surveys for each series, you will get a platinum certificate. Previous session, we had Mike Phelan and David Horrocks from Sensible Soccer talking about growth mindset. So a little bit takeaways from the last series are: number 1, there are limitless potential within yourself. Number 2, mistakes help us grow by learning through it. And number 3, it is always important to form good relationship with your stakeholders. For those who wanted to watch the whole EdLeadS Series 2021, we will inform you where you can watch them. Stay tuned for updates from events@educity.com.my. For today, we have Ms. Shareen Shariza Dato Abdul Ghani, CEO and co-founder of GigXGlobal, moderated by Encik Ijlal Muhammad Nazir, consultant for EduCity Academy and principal consultant for Imtiaz Capstone Consultants. Today's topic, the future of work we want. Rise of the human, not the robot. GigXGlobal is a work platform that specializes in enabling gig economy. It is a platform for all highly skilled professionals who want to engage in fractional work to seek opportunities with companies for specialized projects and assignments. Essentially, it is a future-forward platform that will be defined by an agile workforce that is flexible, highly mobile, operating in a hyper-connected world. Without further ado, I will pass this platform to Encik Ijlal to kick off the session today. Take it away, Encik Ijlal.
Thank you, Nabila. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Welcome to the third series of the EdLeadS EduCity Leadership Summit 2021. This is the third of 10 series of webinars over the next 1 month. And I hope that everyone is keeping safe and healthy wherever you are. We are living in a fascinating time where there is a tsunami of technology that is upon us with the Industrial Revolution 4.0, artificial intelligence, IoT, automation, etc. Society is going to change faster in the next 20 to 30 years compared to what we have seen over the past generation. Jobs that are here today were not heard of even 5 years ago. Are jobs as we know it going to be extinct in the next 5, 10 years? Will our work be taken over by robots? Will the way we work change? Today, we'll be discussing about the future of work we want. Rise of the humans, not robots. I'm indeed honored to introduce to you our speaker for today, Ms. Shareen Shariza Dato Abdul Ghani. Shareen is the CEO and co-founder of Sorga Innovation, a boutique advisory firm specializing in human capital strategies and solutions. Sorga Innovation is the entity behind the creation of the GigXGlobal.com platform. What is the GigXGlobal platform? Stay tuned to know more. Prior to founding Sorga Innovation, Shareen was the Chief Executive Officer of Talent Corp, a Malaysian government agency responsible for talent strategy and planning for the country. Prior to joining Talent Corp, Shareen was the Director of Corporate Responsibility at Khazanah National. She was in charge of all of what we call the Silver Book, which is part of the JLC Transformation Initiative. She was instrumental in developing corporate responsibility strategy for national level initiatives in Malaysia, such as the Pinta Foundation for Education Sector, Yayasan Sejahtera for Poverty Eradication, and GEMS Malaysia for youth employability programs. Prior to joining Khazanah, she was the Chief Operations Officer at Mercy Malaysia, where she served alongside Tan Sri Jamila in humanitarian missions to Darfur, Sri Lanka, Iran, Aceh, and remote areas throughout Malaysia. So let's watch a short clip about our speaker today, ladies and gentlemen, and I present to you Ms. Shareen Shariza, Dato Abdul Ghani.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning. Am I on now, Ijlal?
Yes, ma'am, you
Good.
are.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ijlal, for the very kind introduction, and Nabila for opening the morning session, and every one of you out there for joining us this morning. I would like to do a couple of things for our session today. We'll try to make it as interactive as we should, so that you guys will get, information, you will interact with us, and actually go away from this session with some meaningful thoughts and ideas, and of course, real actions on how you move forward with this topic. So the future of work topic is something that both Ijlal and I are very passionate about, and we are living it today, and I think for many years to come. And I'm happy to introduce some of the thinking that we have around, technology, around how it's changing the workplace, and of course some of the solutions, and like I said earlier, some thought starters to get you to embrace this topic, and see how we can imagine the future of work that we want, the rise of the humans, not the robots. So I will start the session by a presentation. Some of the content requires visualization. Especially for me, it helps me to visualize the content that I want to share with you. So there will be slides, and then we will go into Q&A session. There will be some polling questions for you to participate in, and continue to chat with us and post your Q&A in the Q&A box. Yeah, so if everybody is ready, have a good cup of coffee or tea next to you, water and all that, we shall start. Let me just open up my presentation. There we go. Can everybody see the slides? So today's topic is future work that we want. How do we look at the future work where we as humans are the driving force of the kind of work that we want to engage in, and the kind of activities that's important to us as humans, and really look at this dimension of now automation coming into the workforce, and how we work together with robots. So the reason we actually think about this topic, especially for us at GigXGlobal, for myself and Zoomian, the co-founders, we wanted to really find meaning and passion, and really marry our lives and livelihoods. So we need to work because we need to pay bills, we need to, have some luxuries, but we also need to have a quality of life. So where is the meaning and the passion? How do we unlock inherent skills, abilities, and qualities? A life with purpose is something that I myself have always searched for. And the inflection point for me was when I joined Mercy Malaysia and went into missions in various parts of the world, and I found my life purpose. And I hope all of you will also find that inflection point in your life and in your career where the two actually meets. The other bit that I also struggle with is wants and needs. What is it that we really need, and what is it that we think we want? and looking at various elements of income, our social safety net, our access to retirement savings, and balancing the needs and the wants. And then the last bit is enabling that journey, build that super craft that you dream of, and take off and so. So when we look at the the broader picture, so I'd like to start with macro and look at the broader things that are driving the changes in our economic construct. So we started, I started and looked at the circular economy, and Ijla mentioned that my time in in Kazana was actually looking at that. How do we become a sustainable, human race? How do we look at the circular economy in terms of how we produce our goods and services, and ensure that we don't harm the environment? So my sort of life journey started with thinking about the circular economy and really putting out policies and programs that addresses that. The digital economy, we all are users of the digital economy. You all are impacted with the digital economy, not so much the device but the content that connects us. Imagine this pandemic that we're in. Without the content and without the devices, it will be very difficult for us to connect with each other, to trace where the cases are, and to ensure that safety and security is maintained. So the digital economy, beyond just started as an entertainment element, started as a place for you to access education and content, now is actually very critical for our survival as the human race. And we all are immediately impacted by it. The sharing economy, I'm sure we've all used, be it Airbnb, we've all used Uber, Grab, and in this case, in our region, booking.com and all that. So these are kind of, platforms where we start to actually share our home, where in the case of Airbnb, you actually rent your room, your living space. We share cars, and the concept of actually owning a property or owning something is very different today. We don't really need to own cars. If you can, grab for one place to another, that's what we do. So the sharing economy is also something that's shifting or have shifted the way we, live. The gig economy or the on-demand economy is something that's very exciting, and Ijlal and I can talk about this for many, many hours. So this session is going to be interesting. Now, the on-demand economy actually looks at flexibility in workforce for people who do short projects, people who actually then subscribe to platforms that allow them to actually be visible in the marketplace without having to work with one single organization. So you do projects. So the concept of the sharing economy, where you can share your living room or your living space, you can actually share your talent. So that's where we are driving some of the solutions. And there's a lot of evidence out there that's showing that there is a shift. People use platforms now to actually engage, and people look at different kind of options where, if you're not, looking at conventional work arrangements, a gig economy or on-demand economy is something that, people look for. So today, I'd like to just show the technological disruption. And of course, the case study is GigXGlobal, a platform that both my co-founder Zu and I created, and we're very passionate about it. And this is what you'll see when you go into gigxglobal.com. Why did we do this? I think there is a lot of demand. There's a lot of talent out there that are switching and looking at a more flexible arrangement. So they work on demand, and this is mainly the professionals. They are highly paid gigs and highly skilled professionals. And then we switch swift and accurate matching. So it's a platform that matches the supply and demand in a very, defined way. There's AI that is, running behind it, and then there's an end-to-end solution. So in the next iteration of our platform, it's in your palm. you will go into the app. The app is being developed today, now, be ready soon. And what you will see is various other elements beyond just looking for jobs. If you're looking for information, if you're looking for ideas, our gig talks, things like this, webinars where we talk about various issues impacting the workforce. We also look at the social safety net, wealth creation, insurance, and the importance of health and well-being. What I'd like to offer before I go into the next stage of our presentation is for all of you to subscribe onto GigXGlobal and really get linked to the content that we want to offer. And we will share this with the organizers for you to then, be part of it. This year is going to be exciting. We're going to do a lot of things. We'll collaborate with EduCity for sure, and really bring out, content and meaningful things for you to do with us, inshallah. Okay, so that's the story of the disruption, the technology that we have out there that's been built, that GigXGlobal is championing for professionals who work on demand. Today, when we look at the data, and there's a lot of reports and a lot of the content that I will share from now on is taken from these two reports. I would encourage you to read either one, both if you're feeling very, very curious, especially for you if you are in university or waiting to look at your next career path. The Jobs of Tomorrow, the report that came out in January 2020, is an interesting report, and it maps out different skills that you should develop for you to be relevant in this sort of new work environment. So I will play this clip, which will show you some of the investments that are, when we were practicing, this one worked. The technical team will help me. But otherwise, we will play this at the end. And perhaps you can also download it. It shows the work environment where now, instead of just Zoom and all that, you have, augmented reality. Put on your, the goggles, and you're actually in somebody's meeting room. You're actually talking to people. That's an investment that's being put out by one of the big tech companies that's really looking at the next generation of how we work. Yeah. So what I want to say is the answer of future work lies somewhere in between. This looked like my workspace a couple of months ago, where we were scrambling to do Zoom and all that, and I'm sure you guys face the same thing. Really the key trends. Let's talk a little bit about the trends. And I'm watching the time so that I don't go over time, so that we have more time to have discussions. Well-being at the forefront. I think we really need to talk about how we care for ourselves and each other, and put that as a priority. Work is never number one. But in the society, or in the time when I started working, or some of us are still in that, work becomes number one, and the well-being part is not very well articulated, and we don't really show the care for each other. I think we really need to look at that as a big shift towards future of work. Remote work, as you know, work from home, and from the study from McKinsey and Company, there are a lot of professionals who can then switch their work to remote work. There are some who are skilled people, like your hairdresser and all that. They can't do remote work, obviously, because they have to do their trade. But for people who are professionals, finance professionals, educators, various other professionals, you can actually work around a remote work concept, or a remote work practice, and really be as productive as you should be. I just want to go deep dive a little bit on this slide only, on well-being at the forefront, and actually put it out there in terms of where we are in this pandemic, and where sometimes people are feeling isolated. Even though we are communicating over devices, there is a feeling of isolation, and mental health is a problem. And especially for young people, who feel that, they have not a lot of people to talk to. How do we actually care for, each other and for ourselves? And I show this these two slides by Sweater Color, because what she has done is to bring the concept of mental health in a relatable cartoon, and helping people to work through it. So Google her. She has fantastic content that helps you to think about things, So we always think about a million things that's about to go wrong. I do that. And and then this person has a conversation with this cat and say, the cat says, I can't count even beyond 3, and 2 is quite tricky. And then so then the last bit says, so let's deal with them one at a time. That's important, because you process those kind of information and say, yeah, I can't worry about a million things. I can't worry about things that I am not in control of. I will worry today about 1 or 2 things that I am in control of. So think about that. Think about mental health. Think about how we actually look at well-being, and bring it to the forefront of a future of work scenario. Remote work, as you know, and I will share these slides to the organizers, and please access it. There's a lot of content there. Companies will have to make decisions about their workplace, about how they design it, about how people are using different places within the workplace, and really where it makes sense is people to work in places where it's safe and comfortable, and work gets done anyway, right? The other 2 key trends that I want to share with you: flexibility and agility. That's the on-demand workforce, work when you need to. These models are coming out. It's based on outcomes rather than, the time you spend at the workplace. You remember in the early days, people clock in at 8:30 and clock out at 9 p.m. and that's wow, an achievement. That's not the case anymore. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't continue to do that. It's based on outcomes. And we have to actually educate each other, educate employers, educate policymakers to say, work and to move into the realm of outcomes rather than, task and very regimented approaches. Skills and not qualifications. Now, you guys will be a bit surprised with this, because you're all in universities and we're all going towards qualifications. Skills will define who we are and how successful we are in the future of work. In the past, it's a T shape, that means breadth and depth. Now it's Z. How do you bring the breadth and the depth into the 5 core skills that we all know? They're called soft skills. I call them essential skills: collaboration, critical thinking, because these are the elements that we have as human beings that robots don't have. Remember the title? The rise of the humans and not the robots. The robots can't do critical thinking. Robots are created by humans. We actually input and develop those machines. How do we then rise above that and become not the robots and clock in 9 to 5, but really develop our skills to create, to be innovative, to look at new solutions. I'm also bringing this forward, the flexibility in the agility and agenda, where actually just imagine a shorter work day will be much healthier for all of us post pandemic, current in this time of the pandemic. And really, from a 5-day week, let's talk about 4-day week. Why I think it's important? Because people need to shut down from work. I need to remind that myself as well, because my team always say I don't shut down. So the 4-day week is important. There are a couple of economic advantages of a 4-day week. Say, imagine we work from, and we have the Friday, Saturday, Sunday free. In some countries, they're already experimenting it. So these 3 days will help you to, the economic part of it is for you to rest. And then when the pandemic and everything is secured, you actually take a longer break. And when you take a longer break, studies have shown medically that when you get back to work, you are more productive. Yeah. So I am pushing this agenda of a 4-day week, and I hope you will join me and really look at how we are more productive, and the fact that the economic benefits of us having more time to rest, maybe go for a short holiday, and enjoy the economic advantages of actually a shorter work week. And people think that we are more productive, we just do hard work. look at the graphics on the right side. We're actually more productive if we combine everything and have more holistic put in more holistic things in our day-to-day exercise, healthy eating, good sleep, time off, and then hard work. That actually drives productivity. And I want to show you this case study of Microsoft. Microsoft did this in Japan, in their office in Japan. And you know, the Japanese work, forever. They don't switch off. So I think Microsoft was very, very smart in, doing this experiment in Japan. And that the image at the back is actually the office in Microsoft in Japan. And what they found when they experimented a 4-day work week, productivity jumped. And on top of that, the economic advantages, the less number of pages printed, they're 58.7%. How much of that has already contributed to the sustainability of this planet, right? Electricity consumption and also productivity. And their workforce is happier, and they actually long to get back to work because they have a good sort of break in between to rest. So it actually works. The other trends that I want to switch your attention to is hybrid generation. We think about the future of work is humans, gig workers like myself and Ijlal, and robots. We work together. And actually using devices, using this Zoom and using all the equipment in front of us, we're already working with both robots. That's automation, right? And of course, the on-demand workforce that we were talking about. This slide is very interesting. It looks at, on the right side, the spread of the talent who are already looking at work on demand. So the millennials, the Gen X, and also the baby boomers. So that's interesting in the sense that the trend is already pushing us towards a more flexible work arrangement, work on demand for some of us, but actually a better quality of life and productivity when we marry a good, combination of work and, taking care of ourselves. Learning constantly. In the first series with Manoj, I was, given the honor to moderate the session. We talked about how we should learn and acquire skills. So the world now is not learn it all, but know it all. We're not know it all, sorry, but learn it all. That means we build role models, we learn and we create together. I am very passionate about beyond individuals and more collective outcomes. What are we built for as humans? Coming back to the topic, these are the things that we are so designed to do: the critical thinking, strategic thinking, creativity, empathy, and communication skills, the things that we're doing today, the well-being that I spoke about, our emotional intelligence, our imagination, ingenuity. We are the ones who are the creators of technology. We are the creators of robots. How do we use this qualities that's so inherent in us as humans to actually make the world a better place, to work in a more healthier and productive environment, and really look at the future that we want to build. And this slide is always my favorite slide to show how people think through certain things. So with knowledge, yeah, you got the dots all over the place. We experience, we kind of connect the dots. But really, when creativity comes in, you see a completely different picture. So take a mental picture of this, because this is where we want to move towards. Let's draw that cat on the right and really use the knowledge and experience that we have to create something wonderful and something that is meaningful for us as individuals and us as a collective of the human race. That's the end of my slide. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to Ijlal for our Q&A.
Thank you very much, Shareen, for the wonderful presentation. As you know, we are in the Q&A segment now. So if you do have questions, please post your questions in the Q&A box and we'll pick it up from there. But before we address the questions, we do have a few poll questions that we would like to get feedback from our audience. We'll put up the poll questions and you can answer them from there.
I'm sorry I couldn't play the video. We'll find a way to play the video, but it's just a short clip and I illustrated what it's about. There's some really good question from Wan Saifuddin. Thank you, Wan, for joining the
Yeah.
session. And you
Yeah.
want to start the
Our
questions
technical
first?
team.
Well, we wait for the poll,
Yeah,
perhaps.
we'll start.
Mm.
Yeah, we will start the questions first while waiting for our technical team to put up the poll. So we've got a few
We got
questions
to
here.
answer the
So
question
let's
from the
start. Any
boss, right?
company?
The two questions from
Yes,
the
we have
boss.
to answer the question from the boss first.
Sure.
So any company that implements a 4-day work week, where do we apply?
Surprise, surprise. Petronas did it for a while. And Fridays was off for them, or at least half of Fridays. So people come in on a Friday morning and do what they need to do, and then go for their prayers, and then that's the end of the week for them. So I would encourage more companies to do that, but I know of Petronas. I know of some of the banking companies who experimented it. But of course, these are large companies. So what they experimented was for some of the departments to actually go on this 4-day work week. While I was in Talent Corp, we did this as well, but we rotated. So the comms department will go off and have their 4-day week, on the first Friday of every week. And then we slowly migrated to everybody not being in the office on Friday. And, we would all scold each other if we're working on Friday and at the office on Friday. So yeah, there are some
Yeah,
companies already doing it in Malaysia.
I think I remembered talking to a few people while you were in Talent Corp as well. That they also implement like a 1 day or a trial period of a 1 day telecommuting, where you
Yep.
can work from home for 1 day in a week.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
From the culture that we see, actually, the leadership and some of the CEOs that I've interacted with are ready to actually implement this. Where there is a breakdown between the leadership and the actual implementation is the building of trust. When you're not in front of them, you think you're not working.
Mm-hmm.
So, but sometimes you're in front of them, you're on your desktop, but you're doing something else. Let's be honest about it, right? You're not really working. 9 to 5, don't tengok the Facebook. You know what I mean? So we have to think about the culture change. We have to think about how people build confidence with their workforce and actually look at building trust. That's a human value that we all need to actually embrace.
Yeah. So next question. Let's see here. From Adnan. Assalamualaikum Puan Shareen. How far our Malaysian industry and public can cope with this demand, especially to implement concept of virtual office?
Actually, with the pandemic and the COVID-19 and all of us working from our home, this is already accelerated. The policies are being designed today to look at how we make it work. One of the things that needs to be done the infrastructure, of course. We need to have better broadband. We need to have better connectivity broadband. We need to have the tools at our disposal to actually make it work. And the other bit that I touched earlier is the culture, the building of confidence and trust. Right now, the employers can't do anything, right? So they have to trust. And this is where then the talent demonstrate that. They say, look, I'm working from home. I have 3 hours in the morning that I'll do this project and I'll get it done by the time that you tell me to. It's on outcome based. So we are all in a global experiment on work from home and remote work. And I think when we come out of it, it will be much better because people have then realized this is something that is workable. This is something that is already living in the future. We are today living in the future. Thanks, Adnan.
All right. Thank you, Adnan. Which brings me to the next point, and also a related question from one side. As we work from home now, or rather, mainly almost forced to work from home because of the lockdown and whatnot. The work-life balance, if you may say, gets a little bit blurry.
Yeah.
So you tend to be more productive, maybe, but also you tend to work more than more hours than you usually would, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, how does that pan out really?
So the HR colleagues who are implementing this work from home, and of course the leadership of organizations, um, you actually need to put up the rules and the guidelines. There are breaks in between. There are X number of hours that you work, and when you switch off, you switch off. There is a report, McKinsey and World Economic Forum, that actually gives you. Actually, it's more McKinsey. I will share with you the link of that report, which gives you guidelines on what to do, how that whole day is pans out for everyone, the employer and the talent. And maybe in the beginning, we were all scrambling, panic. Everybody must show that they are working, they're forever online. There are devices where at 5 p.m. or whatever that you switch off, the device will also switch off and you stop. So it's actually the employers and actually for yourselves as well to define those boundaries. It's harder. I do accept that, but we must have the discipline, and that's where the well-being thing comes in the forefront, because people need to rest. People need to actually look at, go out and just breathe the air outside, whatever, to actually recover and be more productive. Otherwise, your productivity will just go down.
Okay, thank you. Next question. This is interesting from Nur Fazlin. What do you think the future of work would be in medical healthcare?
Nice. Medical healthcare is one of the sectors that we see that is growing in terms of future of work, and it's actually already experiencing it. Remember telemedicine when we all started many years ago, where your doctor can be in KL, that you are in, I don't know, Kedah somewhere, and you need to be diagnosed. The doctor dials up, and then you have this conversation with the doctor. So the medical and the healthcare sector have actually had a lot of advancement. And even today, look at some of the reports where, surgeons are assisted by robots. Robots are more precise. Robots are not tired, right? Surgeons can be tired. And then if it's a long surgery of 10 hours, whatever, you are bound to make a mistake because you are just human. So now in some of the very sophisticated hospitals, they have already robots assisting surgeons to do the precision work. They have done, knee surgery that was done together with surgeons and robots. And there was a knee surgery in Europe. I can't remember exactly when and which country. And there was also another knee surgery that was done completely by a robot. So we need to think about that. The other future work scenario is that the allied health. So if you need to get physiotherapy, you don't need to go to a hospital. A hospital is a place where when you really need urgent attention, life-saving and things like that, right? Otherwise, the hospital is congested with all sorts of people. So nursing, has gone into your home, so you can have nurse on call. Now physiotherapists as well. You don't have to go to the hospitals to get the physiotherapy unless you need to use the machines at the very first level of your recovery. So the healthcare sector is more advanced actually.
Yep. Yeah, I think the developments in healthcare is getting even more important, nowadays.
Yep.
Yeah, as opposed to previously. So going on to our next question from Kavita. What is your take about positive technology? Do you think we are able to effectively develop technology that cultivates a better well-being among its users in the years to come?
Yep, absolutely. And I'll give you an example of mental health. There's a lot of apps out there. There's one that I know very well. It's called Plus Vibes. And what they do is provide those kind of information to help you with your worries and all that. And you can access it anywhere from your device. So that's the technology for good. There's a lot of technology out there for good. A lot of things that we are doing that uses technology to actually link services. I'll be upfront to say GigXGlobal is a technology for good. We enable people who want to get on gig work and find those meaningful projects on our platform. So there's a lot of already good tech out there. Where we have to be very, very careful is bad tech. There's a lot of bad tech as well that takes data, that takes information, and uses it for things that are maybe harmful to us in the future. So us as humans are the designers of this tech. So the self-governance and how we govern our thinking and why we use the technology is very, very important. That's why I go back to the point of rise of the humans and not the robots.
Thank you. I think our tech team is ready for the polls. Okay.
Cool.
It's up. So
yeah, I
please
need to
take
get a
a
couple
little
of
bit of time.
CEOs
We'll
on
give you
board on
about.
this 4-day week thing. So I'll have a call with one side at some point.
So we've got a few questions here.
Yeah.
Do you think, yeah, first question, do you think Malaysian organizations and talent are ready for a 4-day work week? Yes, no, maybe not in the next, or not in another 5 years. And we can put up our second question too.
Okay, the poll is up. Please click the button that you prefer in terms of your reaction, and then we'll see the results. Okay, this is question 2, I think. Yeah.
This is question number 2. How has the pandemic changed your perception of work from home? Are you getting used to it? You don't think it works, or you prefer brick and mortar, traditional, go to the office. At the moment in Malaysia, especially in the MCO, still have to go through, probably tons of roadblocks to get there.
True.
Okay, while we wait,
Yeah.
probably we could answer one other question.
Yep. Some of the questions I'm typing out the answers so that we
Okay.
get through them. Sorry, moderator. I'm a bit
No
of a
problem.
recalcitrant.
Okay, how can GigXGlobal help those who are severely affected by the pandemic, especially in this MCO 2.0?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So we are good tech, right? So what we are doing currently is consulting with companies and talking to companies because cash flow problems, the economy is not going as well as it should. And these companies who really have, the well-being of their people at heart, work with us to actually then transition the people that they need to transition out onto our platform. And what we do is we then, because we are connected to the industry that's still hiring, there are a lot of industries that are hiring, especially in the IT sector, obviously, right? So we connect them to those kind of gigs so that their income is not disrupted. The thing that we want to do is gigs or conventional work, you still need to have an income flow. But in bad times, in times where the economy is not growing and companies are not, expanding, you have to accept that some people would need to be transitioned. So we work closely with these companies to actually then develop the programs for them. If they need upskilling, reskilling, we work in partnership with different people. EdLeadS is a partner at some point when we do, the kind of developmental work. And then, transition them into those roles in the sector that are in demand. So that's what GigXGlobal is doing in this stage to ensure that income is not disrupted, to ensure that they have gigs, and then also prepare them for other things that they will do beyond the conventional sort of work arrangement because things are changing.
Right. Which brings us to our next question. The gig economy promotes outsourcing, professional on demand. this may concern some employees of being displaced or replaced. How can we address this concern?
For the demand side, the employees, okay, there will be displacement. There will be displacement anyway with technology. So we have to accept that. But where the value proposition becomes exciting is that in this time of pandemic, let's take that as an example. When companies are not having open positions for permanent jobs, they do have projects that needs to get done. So when we have conversations with the clients, the companies in this case, is that, look, I have a project. It's up to about 6 months. I need somebody like EdLeadS profile to come in and do it for me. And that works. So that is where the sweet spot, if I can use that term, of where the demand meets the supply. Yeah, they say that, you know, things are bad. I don't have permanent position, but I have a 6 months project, and I think EdLeadS fits that profile. Then we connect EdLeadS to the company. So that's what we do to match the supply and demand. That's at the interim right now while the economy is not growing. When the economy picks up and it grows, people still have projects, and the projects becomes more complicated, more, the experts that they need will be different. They still don't have permanent positions for these talent. They have project-based. So we work with companies to projectize some of the work that they have and say, look, you would have higher productivity, a greater expertise and talent pool to tap on and do this as a project. And that works even beyond a pandemic situation.
Okay, thank you. Can we put up our answers to the poll, please? Let's see the first two questions. We've got two more coming in.
I suspect the talent is ready for a 4-day work week. The company is not so.
Okay, this is another question. Okay, now let's go with the questions first then.
Yeah.
What is your idea of future of work?
Or all of the above, or you don't think it's going to work anyway? We're just going to go back to 9 to 5, clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
Be human robots. And that's a real tragedy.
Be human. Yeah. I've got a client who asked me not too long ago when they wanted to because of the pandemic, they wanted to implement sort of like a work from home kind of thing. So the first question that got asked is that, how do I monitor my people? So
there's technology that does that. There's a lot of apps to monitor project teams, to not monitor outcomes, remember, milestones. And actually, the employers have the right to put in a software that monitors how long you use the computer and do the work, which I think is really, really bad and old school, because you can open the computer and not work. It's actually based on milestones and outcomes. Okay, so we've got some feedback.
We've got some answers.
Take this
so
on?
What is your idea? What is your idea of future of work? 67% answered flexible work, flexible location. 16% said shorter work days and work week. 10% remote work or work from home. And 6% said that this is all a fantasy.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the 6%. Some reality check maybe, huh?
Yep.
Will the 6% please?
Okay, do we have?
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Do we have the answers for the other questions on the poll?
Yeah, let the technical team do their bit. There it is.
So, how has the pandemic changed your perception of work from home? 51% said that I think work from home is the future of work. 34% getting used to it, which is good, you know. And 8% said that I prefer traditional way of work.
Mm. Mm. Well, we're going to say that the traditional way of work will remain. We're not going to be 100% in that realm of, you know, flexible work and all that, because for some sectors, say manufacturing, they have operations that they need to continue to do, right? So those conventional kind of arrangements will still be there. But think about this: when robots are designed to actually take over the mundane tasks of a manufacturing line, you hardly see humans now. It's all those robotic arms doing the work. So what happens to those workers? They need to be reskilled. Then they become operators of the machines, right? But the reduction of number of people in those kind of environment will happen. It's already happening. It's impacting the workforce. So we need to urgently look at reskilling and upskilling, and look at how then we design new jobs for these workers who are going to be displaced, and really uplift their skills and their contribution to the companies in a different way. They don't do the mundane things anymore. Your receptionist will be different. It could be just a robot greeting people in the front. Why do you need a human being sitting there from 9 to 5, just greeting, you know, packages coming to you? Really, that's what they do most of the time, right? So the robot will do the first interface of saying hello. Then there's a human being inside there that ushers you in, whatever, right? So there is a way to do that.
Yeah.
Dr. Sakina had a question: difference between being an entrepreneur and being a gigster. Okay, the polling results are up.
Yep. Do you think Malaysian organizations and talent are ready for a 4-day work week? 35% said maybe, 33% say yes, that's good, you know. 23% no, we are not ready as yet. And 8% says not in another 5 years.
That's at least hopeful. They think in the next 5 years we will have something like this. Always glass half full. But look, guys, in Japan, the highest rate of suicide in the world. And you know the Japanese culture is they work and never stop. They even have a place for you to go and do the act. That's horrible. That's not the kind of society that we want. So we really need to think about how we rebalance it, because there will be a point where as humans, we cannot push forward anymore in the way that we are doing this, and lose our well-being, which is number one. Remember, humans, not robot. Lose our productivity, because look, if we're so stressed, we go and commit those acts like what the Japanese do. You are less one talent in the workforce. Do we really want to go into that kind of a life in the future? I don't think so. And I don't think that's a life in the future for young people who are entering the workforce as well. There must be well-being at the forefront. That's super, super, super important. And people need to realize that.
Yeah. Before I address Dr. Sakina's question, I think this is a related question from Anita Charles. Gig is economically viable for both organization and talent. Concern is on employee benefits, especially healthcare coverage. How can the gig ecosystem support this?
Yeah. So if you look at platforms today, they're very much transactional. You got a talent, you got a job, connect them, you make some money out of it. Now, future of work platforms need to think about services around supporting gig workers. So good tech, remember? So good tech is equals GigXGlobal lah, right? So what we are doing right now is actually putting all those services that Anita has just asked to then for the individual gig person to get access to retirement benefits and retirement savings, wealth creation, insurance, healthcare, So you go to a platform that actually offers those kind of services, simply because we want to care for the people who work in this gig economy or on-demand economy. Otherwise, nobody is going to care for them. You're right that because you're not an employee in that organization, a lot of the benefits are not there. But hey, there is a solution where we put together the benefits, and it makes sense. It's very, very logical. And GigXGlobal, we are ahead because we have that in place. And I encourage all the other platforms to think about this very deeply and very seriously. Be the good tech.
So what is the difference between being an entrepreneur and being a gigster?
Yeah, same, no difference. It's
No
just a
difference.
terminology. Some people call you solopreneur, Ijlal.
Yeah, solopreneur, freelancers at one point, isn't it?
Yeah, gigsters. Yeah. So it's the same thing because you are out there positioning your skills and your expertise. So you're selling something. You're selling your skills and your expertise. And it's how you package it so that then it's number one, relevant to what your clients need and want. And then also you find a project that is meaningful for both parties.
Question from Shamil.
Yes.
We know the advantages of the economy, future of work. What are some of the challenges of this gig economy?
Challenges in what sense? The challenges is actually putting yourself out there. Let's be honest. If people don't know you, people don't know where to search for you, you're not going to get the gigs. You need to actually profile yourself better. You need to actually go into platforms that provide those kind of services, your career, your CV writing, because your CVs will be different if you're a gigster or if you're a solopreneur, gig talent. And then profile. So what we do at GigXGlobal is that we have platforms for the solopreneurs and the gig talent to come and talk about what they do. And we invite companies, we invite HR professionals to come and listen. Because otherwise, if your profile is just sitting there in the platform, it's still not very meaningful. You do nothing with it and you wait for something to get matched. So we have to be the active matchmaker and let the talent and the companies meet and create the environment where we share knowledge and expertise. So that's part of the gig talk. Remember I showed in the earlier slide? So that's where the experts come in and talk about their work and all that. So you have to be very active out there, your profiles in all the social media.
I remember, I think in the first session with Manoj, career versus careering, where he said that, people going into careering would need to have quite a few skills, 2 or 3 skills,
yep.
As we embark on it, which brings me to my next question from the audience, from Farida. As a parent, the current education system is not supporting the future of work. How can we guide our children for career planning? Even I think it's related to Dr. Sakina's point in our chat that says that it's a good session for all educators to prepare our students for the future. How do we as parents or even educators prepare our children for the future of work?
Yeah, the first step is actually understanding your child or the young one that you are trying to guide. So there's a lot of profiling tools if you want to use tools, and we are not so conversant in profiling people. Those tools help, and then really uncover the intrinsic value of who that person is. That's where you get the skills inclination coming out, because your qualification will say, yeah, you graduated as a journalist, for example, but your passion is actually humanitarian work. And I'm relating the story of myself. So I graduated as a journalist because I wanted to write. But actually, my passion was I wanted to write stories about human beings. So then I went into humanitarian work so that I could write stories about human beings, about people, about their lives and how their lives matter. So if I had not, gone into Mercy Malaysia and discovered that, that part of the passion would not have come up. So what we do need to do at the very early stage is find the right way to assess your child or your young one that you're trying to guide, and then channel their passion towards that. Say if they are good at building things, at 3 or 4 years old, you can see already they like Lego, they build Lego, whatever. So that's a skill in terms of how they think, the skill of creativity. When they build beyond just the template of what the Lego is, they build something else. Then you got to channel that. And it's actually up to us as parents or guardians to do that, because the school system is not set up for that. Not today. Let's be honest about it. Some education institution, and I see EduCity is moving towards that, is really pushing that. How do we bring in those essential skills and unlock the value of creativity and innovation? Do it with this kind of tools that's already with us, and develop that and grow and identify and see that potential. You will if you observe long enough. So parents need to take ownership of your child or or the young one that you're trying to guide. People around them, the education system has got to step up and really prepare our young people to have creative thinking, to innovate, to develop solutions. We cannot be consumers of innovation. We have to be creators of innovation. And institutions like EduCity, with what they're doing with your education blueprint, EduCity Blueprint 2.0, is moving into that direction. Take it on, because for sure you will find that that pathway that's going to get you there and really differentiate EduCity and differentiate the students and the community that's within different EduCity. And it's achievable and so doable. It
Right.
doesn't need high tech.
Mhm.
It needs Legoland next door.
which is not too far
Really?
away actually for EduCity.
Absolutely.
Yep. Going on to our next question from Raja Sazlin. In the age of constant transient technology, how does the core element of human can be enhanced to secure the work in the future?
It goes back to building those intrinsic values. Remember the one of the slides that I showed, build your critical skills, critical thinking skill. If you look at something, be curious enough to find out what is that problem that I can solve with that particular situation. And that actually, you practice that in your head. For most of us who are Gen X and baby boomers, we've been doing it for a while. And then you see a lot of innovation coming even from from this generation. But my God, the young generation, you guys who are coming through, you have so much more that you can do because you were born with the technology in your hands. We had to learn to use technology. So the young workforce that's entering now are already very, very savvy on how they use technology, how they bring their skills up to make a difference. And companies need to then do that hybrid. Remember, we talked about the hybrid workforce. In the past, it was intergenerational. Young people, somewhere in the middle, and very senior. Now it's a hybrid. It's the human range, sort of the workers, or rather the talent, and it's also the automation part, and it's also young people and new technology that's coming into the workforce. So there's a lot of disruption that's happening, and companies need to be prepared for that, so that then there is a good outcome between the technology, the talent, and the enterprise.
Thank you, Shareen. I think we do have one more question on the polls, I think, from our tech side. Yep. So what do you think is important, skills or qualification? Or maybe we don't need either. Robots is going to do all the work for us.
Then we don't have a 4-day work week lah. Every day we lepak.
Every day we lepak.
Which is not what we're advocating, please. Not at all.
Yeah. So while waiting for that, when we talk about technology taking over and things like that, we also want to talk about values. One probably strong point of humans are values. And question from Nur Fazlin: how do we implement the building of trust culture in our community?
Really going back, I will go back to the topic. It's actually about the humans. And if you as a person want to have the privilege of working flexibility in a flexible arrangement and all that, you have to earn that trust of your employers. You have to be able to deliver, you have to meet milestones, you got to do it, right? So that is built over time, it's earned, and we know this, it's not given. And so we as individuals, as talent, must, number one, be really excited about the work that we do, passionate about what we are going to deliver, meet the milestones, and deliver excellent quality work. We cannot be mediocre and expect to have future work, flexible arrangement and all that. We have to be excellent. We have to marry that with ensuring our well-being, remember? Then we build the trust. So it's a lot of things in play. It's not a straightforward thing, and it's over time, and the culture and the thinking of employees need to change. The culture and the thinking of talent need to change as well. Then it's a good marriage of both sides.
So on another part, and I think we had this discussion before, I think in a session quite earlier on with Claudia, when we talk about how companies adapt or move towards allowing for telecommuting, work from home, even going towards the contingent workforce. How do we get companies as well to transition from a policy perspective?
Yeah, the policies are behind time, and this is not just Malaysia, it's globally. When you look at adoption of technology, innovation, or new things, the first trigger is actually from private sector that actually adopt and innovate. The last adopter of technology is governments. And unfortunately, if this continues, government is not going to create the right kind of policies to get us to where we want to be. It has to be the other way around. Government needs to be, engaged in the innovation, understand what it is, and design the right kind of policies that delivers on that. Right? So we have to reverse the trend now. You have to bring government closer to where innovation is being created so that the policies are in place. Unfortunately, in this country, and I'll give an example of Malaysia because I know it very well, is that our Employee Act is so archaic. It's built for 30 years ago. And I keep saying this. And a couple of years ago, they went into this process of changing the Employment Act and actually then recognizing gig workers or on-demand workers as part of the workforce. Right now, we don't even recognize, so they're kind of invisible. So that's one step. And the Department of Statistics are now looking at informal workers. How do we define them? How do we count them into the economy because they're contributing to the economy? So some parts of our government is already moving to that direction, but it's not moving fast enough, in my opinion. We need to trigger it, and private sector needs to push that agenda in consultation with our government. We have a very exciting Minister of Technology and Innovation. Mm-hmm. So we need to bring this agenda to him and say, look, sir, if you want innovation to be at the forefront of this country, you've got to have these kind of policies in place so that people can create and innovate.
Yeah. And a lot of startups as well, are all, majority are gigsters anyway,
Absolutely.
Starting out somewhere at home before they move towards, shared workspace and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one other question from Annette. Is there a better chance for remote work or, oops, lost the question. Yeah. Is there a better chance for remote work or work in general for people who've been out of the workforce? I think we addressed this as well at some point while you were in Talent Corp, for returning
Women.
Women
Yeah.
into the workforce and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, women in the workforce is a very topical and important subject. Why? Because we have to accept the fact that there are more women in universities. In the last data that I saw, we are close to 67% women in our public universities. And then they go into the workforce, but when they have family commitments, they have children, they drop off the workforce. That's a drain in the brain, internal brain drain for the country, because very highly qualified people are not part of the economy. So the premise is that half of your workforce is missing. It's no more a gender situation. It's expertise and skills that are missing. It could be men who take a break because they want to take care of their children, and that happens, right? So how do we then look at the kind of policies that bring flexibility into that, so that then the outcome is that people who are not able to be in the conventional work arrangements are still part of the economy, contributing to the organizations they work for, contributing to the country with their skills and expertise. Otherwise, you lose them. And that's such a tragedy for a country like ours, because we have such a highly qualified workforce, but half of them are missing because they don't have flexibility. Then they're not part of that. So the work that we used to do, or I used to do in Talent Corp, is actually to bring that into the discussion. And how we premise it is not about gender, it's about losing skills and expertise in the workforce, and internal brain drain, which is really a problem.
Related question from Alif Faisal. How
Mm.
do you see growth of gig economy and revolvement around IR 4.0 would attract talent, Malaysian talents abroad to come back and serve the country?
Good question. Oh my God, that was the life in Talent Corp. How do you bring Malaysians back? Look, the reality is that Malaysians who have lived abroad, when we did the study, we looked at what's the tenure. If it's beyond 10, 15 years, it's very difficult for them to uproot and return, because they have already, planted their roots in the countries, their family there and all that, right? So if you're talking about one IR 4.0 and we're talking about technology, you can actually engage that talent in London with the skills and expertise that they have without having to physically move them back. So use technology, use platforms to connect with them, to bring their skills and expertise back. So it's a brain gain strategy that uses technology as the enabler. We need to stop thinking about, oh, we got to bring them back physically and all that, because in reality, it's very, very difficult. They will at some point when they need to care for aging parents and all that. So that's one group that comes back. But by and large, there is a bigger community who are unable to return physically. So what agencies like Talent Corp, and something that I used to champion in Talent Corp, need to do is enable them, develop a technology, a platform, and really connect with that, finance expert in London, to then contribute back to the economy here, the work here. They can come in once in a while, of course, during the project, but with this pandemic, not going to happen. But how do you then enable it? It's about enabling and using technology in a smart way. We have to think about those kind of solutions. So GigXGlobal was created out of that, because I was very passionate about it in Talent Corp. I said, look, if we're not moving forward, sorry, Talent Corp, I think this is so important. And we built GigXGlobal based on that. And the global networks that we have built around the platform is actually also Malaysians abroad who want to be connected and do different projects.
Yeah,
Can
I
I
think they
just
still want to contribute, right?
Absolutely. They never say they don't want to contribute.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Malaysians. Malaysians can be everywhere else, but you can't bring out the Malaysians from them, right?
Yeah.
Really. You know, we had an engagement in London and it was close to 31st of August. So after we talked about it, what they think about whatever, and then naturally we just played the national anthem and everybody had that Malaysian spirit in them. And they've been abroad for 20 years, you know, Gen X, Gen baby boomers, whatever, but you're still a Malaysian.
Yeah.
Find a way to connect that element. That's a powerful way to connect.
Yeah. You were saying, Shereen?
Yeah, I just want to address because I'm conscious that there are young people that is dialing in, and they're wondering how can they do this future work, gig work, and all that.
Right.
So remember the slide that I have about the millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers. Why millennials are very important in terms of doing this kind of gig work is actually centered around technology and digital skills. You guys have got the digital skills and you can do you know, digital marketing without even thinking about it, right? So if you want to do a gig and you want to be meaningfully engaged in a gig, capitalize on that, because the Gen X and the baby boomers struggle with it. My example. So I have I have a young one who does my social media, and the minute she took over the social media, suddenly our interactions were so high. I just don't need to tell her anything. In the week, I'll just say, okay, we need to do this topic. She crafts it and puts it out. It works. So young people who want to do gigs, try this kind of gigs, because your skills will be very important for the rest of us that don't know even how to do proper
Exactly.
posting.
We were talking, I think, about TikTok.
Oh my God.
Just before we started, it's like I don't even have it on my phone.
Yeah, so young people can get into the gig economy by using that ability, because you are technically and digitally very savvy. That's your opportunistic kind of way in.
Question from Aizat, Mama Aizat. What is the best way to improve critical thinking? Advice from you, Shereen?
Read a lot. Be curious. Always want to solve a problem. Every day, train yourself to pick up a problem and solve it. Whether you solve it mathematically, whether you design and you draw something to solve it, that actually helps you develop critical thinking. Whether you feel passionate enough to write a policy paper about it, you feel passionate enough to write articles and put it out there in the media, that demonstrates the ability for you to critically assess a particular topic and look at solutions. Critical thinking alone isn't going to go very far. Critical thinking plus a solution, be innovative about it, will complete the whole cycle. It has to come with solution. We all are critics, right? Armchair critics. We sit and critique about everything under the sky.
Yeah,
that's a bad path to take.
Solutions.
Yeah,
we didn't come up with solutions. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
And it's so easy with social media.
Yes, exactly. Can we go to the response for our poll? One last question just now on skills and qualification.
Yeah. There's an anonymous attendee who says, being a gig worker, he's in food delivery for a while now. I would say that the company not entirely benefiting us.
Right.
That's true. Let's address it head on. A lot of the companies who are doing the task-based may not be looking out as much for you. So my suggestion is actually improve and develop your skills. Take up courses, take up things that improves your skills and your capabilities, and then try to move beyond just doing the task-based food delivery type gigs. I wanted to answer that because it resonates very strongly with me. Sorry, here we go.
Okay,
Question, answer.
What do you think is important? Skills and qualification. Both 74% said both skills and qualification, and 25% said skills.
Yeah.
And
if you read the futurists and their reports, it's actually just skills. But I agree at this point of time, skills and qualification is important. But in the future, People will just access skills and just use skills as their means to get income. And companies will also move towards looking at what your skills are beyond just your qualification. Yeah. But good answer. Thank you. I got some
Okay.
really good data points this morning.
So I think
Alhamdulillah.
we'll address a few more questions. Before we end, I think we've stretched the time quite a bit. Also questions from an anonymous attendee. Prior to COVID, the youth has been implanted that dua kerja is a norm and something that the youth should be doing. In the current condition, should Gigster be positioned as part of careering journey, and will that concept of dua or tiga kerja will become a requisite rather than a norm?
Um, in the early days, I thought dua tiga kerja is great. Let's do it. Now, when I reflect a little bit and we talk about well-being, maybe we don't need to do dua tiga kerja, but we certainly should have one side hustle, up to two side hustle. Because say, for example, if you're an accountant and you really, really hate your job as an accountant, but you really can cook, you're a great cook, your side hustle is, private chef for some people, do a food business and whatever, and improve your income. But at the end of the day, it's about what you are passionate about. And really remember the wants and the needs. Sometimes when you know what you really need, the wants doesn't become as important. So the income that you earn, right, may not will buy you maybe short-term pleasures, your short-term gratification. But what you need most, you need to understand. Then okay, I can do 2-3 gigs. I can have a full-time job, and then my need is sorted. I have a little bit for luxury. I save a little bit for holidays at the end of the year, whatever. But reduce the kind of want, because sometimes we don't want to be a society that overconsumes. Remember the circular economy. We consume things that sometimes we don't even need, but we want it. So when you find that right balance, and I'm finding that right balance too. I don't have the right answer as well for this. But when we find the right balance, you will actually have such an uplifting and enlightening experience that really you don't need some of the stuff that you thought you need, or some of the tough stuff you saw in social media that your friends have. No. So find that balance and strike that balance. It's about the quality of life. Yeah. So find the gigs that fuels your passion is what I say.
I'll try and combine these two questions, also from anonymous. Talking about getting underpaid in the gig economy, how would you work less a day? And another question on, what are some of the trade-offs of a 4-day work week given the high cost of living, etc.?
Yeah.
Would that be possible?
Yeah. That's real. And thank you for those questions, because you are challenging me and challenging all of us to think about that. Now, the report by ILO, the slide that I showed, there are two reports that I'm referencing with the slides that I just shared. They talked about the universal basic income. That's coming. ILO is the International Labour Office. They talk about people in the workplace, right? So universal basic income is a concept. I think we talked about it for a while with policymakers, but they lost the courage to pull it through. What do I mean when I say basic universal income? Without moving into a welfare society and everybody just lepak and doesn't do any work. There's a real danger of that, right? So your universal basic income is that when government or companies say, okay, I will give you this basic income, and that supports your needs and what you require. The rest of it, you got gigs and all that, and then you earn from those kind of gigs. So I know of a banking institution and somebody from and one of it's Maybank, let me just say it, who actually experimented with this. So they had a number of their workforce who wanted to reduce their work day, reduce their work time, pursue their own projects, enterprise, whatever. But they come in for the 4 days and they negotiate together the package that will support your needs for that 4 days that you work, which is an incredibly fair deal, right? So you don't have to worry lah, right? You have that. And Maybank, Panora Manaf, who's the chief human resource officer, is very enlightened when it comes to things like this. And they did it, and they did it very successfully. So it's a win-win for the bank, because then they reduce their overhead costs significantly. They release their people who are more inspired to do other things beyond just their Maybank job and earn something out of that. But at the same time, the 4 days that they work, obviously they get compensated. So that's a model that we need to think about, refine it further, and actually bring it out to the market and say, guys, this works, right? And for Maybank to do it is a lot of courage, because banking institutions are very highly regulated, right? Your bank negara and all that, right? But they actually carved a project where they could experiment. And I would encourage you to think about those kind of models and discuss with your employers, if that's what it is, to actually make this work. Because there are examples that this can work, even here in our country. And Maybank is a shining example. CIMB as well. Maybank and CIMB has done very interesting things about reducing work days and unlocking productivity.
Which bring us to the next question on 4-day work week. Is it something possible for medical professionals in the future, so that the medical workers could have a better work-life balance? Question from Nur Fazlin.
No, Fazlin, for the medical profession, unfortunately, the kind of work that you do if you're a doctor, and I have a niece who is a doctor, is 24/7. You're on call and all that. So future work is something that is not practical for those people in service, the doctors and all that, because you have to be present. But where we need to rebalance is the care and the well-being. The doctors need to have their rest. The doctors need to recharge and rejuvenate. So a future of work of them not going into hospital, we cannot imagine lah, right? Until a robot takes over the doctor's job. I don't know whether you feel comfortable talking to a robot, to a real person lah, right? Maybe in the future it will be that. If you look at all these sci-fi movies, people that come to the hospitals are robots. Can only when you need to talk to somebody about how you feel, whatever, then a human being appears. That could be it, right? But right now, the care for our medical professionals, our frontliners, need to be front and center. Well-being in the forefront. You have to give them enough rest. You have to give them enough care, so that then they can perform well. If your doctors are doing on-call 24/7 for 3 days straight, you don't expect them to be performing well on the 4th day. That's a horrible situation to be in. And a lot of our doctors are facing that. They're facing burnout. We need to advocate better policies to make sure that they rest, they are better compensated, and there is a system around it. And I think that's possible, even for the medical fraternity.
Thank you for that. And probably one or two more questions. So I'll pick one from Henry. How will the influence of AI and machine learning affect freelancers?
We talk about skills that machines don't have. Machine learning, if you're talking about machine learning, then the positive tag of machine learning is that it makes your work more efficient, right? You can transact work because the machine learns a pattern, and the machine helps you to make decisions, get connected, whatever. There's a bad tag of machine learning, and that's a whole topic on its own. But let's look at the good side of how machine learning is doing it. You use it to actually make you more productive and efficient. That's what robots are meant to do in the beginning. It's not to take over your job. So if you're a good writer, and we know that machines are, writing articles, sports, predictions and all that, that's all done by robots. But for you, a freelancer, and I give an example of a writer, if you're a good writer, you write, and the way you write actually brings out emotions, and people want to know more. That is a human skill. A robot can never do that because robots don't have emotions. They pick up data, they put it together and say, okay, this is the prediction. Manchester United is going to win this league. I don't know. This one I'm appealing to Wan Saifuddin. He would love me for saying this. But but at the core of it is that how you do your work, whether you're a writer, whether you are a technology developer, innovator, is actually coming through the human element of what you want to create that inspires people and all that. Machines are just going to make it more efficient, effective. You can scale it up because you use machines, but really the originator of that idea comes from the power of a human or a person that critically thinks, looks at solution, and innovates around that solution. That full cycle.
I think there's one comment, one question from an anonymous attendee as well on GigXGlobal. Will GigXGlobal assist new Gigster in terms of fees benchmarking? I'm having problems on how much I should charge for my work on projects.
Yeah, we are working towards something like that. The fees and benchmarking that we've done is for professionals because that's how we started. Now we're working with some private institutions to actually do that so that then there is fair, at least negotiation of what you should be paid, right? Compared to other platforms that actually you bid for the job and you say, oh, I can do a logo for 50 ringgit. Quality and everything else is, a question mark. The platform that we create under GigXGlobal is that I have this expertise, I have this skill, I'm at this level of this expertise and this skill, this is my profile, this is the rate and the range that I offer. And then the companies come in and there is a negotiation. Better that than the pasar malam of, oh, I can do logo for 50 ringgit lah. But some people find that as an option. Go ahead. It's about option and choices. There
One
is somebody,
comment from, sorry, Shareen, go ahead.
Yeah, there is somebody who asked about bank. Are they okay to give loans to Gigsters? That's real. At the moment, no. But if you register as an entrepreneur, independent enterprise or limited partners, you can access, but your credit ratings are not going to be as strong because banks work on the fact that you have loans and you have loans that you have to service, then they give you credit rating, which is another topic that I think Wan Saifuddin is very passionate about. How do we remove all this debt in banking, right? And unfortunately, it is what it is. But for platforms who are conscious about that, one of the things that we are very passionate about is actually building that capabilities on GigXGlobal, and we're talking to partners who are going to do that this year, is that at the very least have a savings sort of component. So when you finish your gig, you save. That helps you in terms of what your needs are. I granted that credit ratings, and when you save and when you actually have that, this partner of ours, they're called pods, use pod, they actually is backed by a bank. So when you save, when you show that you have earned, you have income coming in, the bank will help you with your credit rating. So that's a partnership that we're very excited about, that we will roll out in the first quarter of this year. And they are going to be the partner that will support us in that to actually improve credit rating so that then gigs talent can apply for bank loans because they are backed by a bank.
So do you consider e-hailing and food delivery as Gigsters?
The gig economy is an economy. That means it's big. So when you look at the data, and I have a slide on that, I didn't put it up. Actually, the e-hailing, the ride-hailing is a smaller component of the gig economy. At the most, they are about 9%, 12% I saw in some countries. The larger component of the gig economy are professionals and people with skills that are now working on this on-demand arrangement. So, it's a myth to say that the gig economy is just the ride-hailing people. They have an important role. Even more so today, you need somebody to deliver your food. We need them. What we need to do with them is to help them to actually get better wages, get better social security, make sure that, you know, if anything happens to them while they are riding their bike, they are protected. And that's the role of government and companies who engage with them. So that's one that is task-based. The rest of it is actually people with skills. So the highest is about 12%, and that's in, gosh, I can't remember what economy, because we did a whole study on that and looked at it.
Okay, there is a comment from a Gigster himself, Erhan.
Yes.
What did he say? Okay, I am also mindful that with Gigster in IT services, there exists a group of professionals that does 10 times. They do things so well that their pay is more than anyone and perform 10 times better in terms of output compared to everyone.
Yeah.
He says that, you know, he's going to think deep on the skills that can get us there. And also potentially one question on reskilling of workers in the manufacturing industry.
Okay, so
what is the scope that you think that needs reskilling?
The reskilling of manufacturing. I touched upon it a little bit. That's actually looking at upgrading their skills towards, you know, supervising the automation that they have. So it's operators, supervisors, and they are better paid than being just the people who are doing the robotic type work before, right? So upskill them to actually learn how to maintain. Maintenance is a big component of the manufacturing sector that we've not looked at very well. When the machine breaks down, we just call somebody to do it for us. Why don't we then skill the people who are going to be displaced by this to do the maintenance work? Because somebody needs to maintain the machines, right? Although they work 24/7, whatever, they do break down. So maintenance and that maintenance culture that we need to have in our society. How do we maintain our trains to be clean, to be fast, to be on time? How do we maintain our public transport? How do we maintain our factories? That's a job that you can reskill people to do, but more the supervisory role. So you bring the talent up the value chain. Don't do the mundane work that you can replace with robots. We need to bring them up the value chain and pay better. I know wages is a big topic in the country. There's another like topic of another couple of hours if you want to go down that path. But the wage structure also needs to change in this country to make everything come together. There was a question about the IT, right?
Yes.
You're right, because they already have a client base and they've already proven that they can deliver. So in a way, they out market the others. So we have to find a clever way to level the playing field a bit and have more options and choices for clients to go and look at talent. I see Nabila coming on screen, and I know that we are 1.5 hours.
1.5 hours long time. Probably one last question. I think we have to take this because it's related to GigXGlobal.
Sure, thank you.
Can I sign up GigXGlobal even as a student? There's parts asking about work experience, and I haven't got anything credible yet. Or should I wait?
Wait. We are developing an interface for students that we don't need so much of those kind of information that a professional is required. So in Q1, we'll make the right announcement to say that now we are opening up our our registration for students. And then those parts yang right now is compulsory. If young people are registering, the quick fix is to turn it to non-compulsory lah. So you could actually put in the required fields. The ones that you don't have, you skip. So that will happen soon, because we're talking to our tech team to open it up for students. Can I just go back to that the percentage of gig economy people who are doing task-based, right? Because I had that point that I wanted to make. If you look at the US has the highest, so low skill work deliveries and all that, that's up to 18%. In Indonesia is 14%. You know that because they're Gojek and all that, right?
Yeah.
But the rest are hovering between 8 to even 4%. In India is a very small number. The rest of the chunk is going to professionals with skills.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Before we pass on to Nabila, who is anxiously waiting, any last words, last comments from you, Shareen?
Thank you, Ijla. Thank you, everybody who dialed in. Thanks to Wan Saifuddin and the team, Dr. Sakina, for bringing this very topical and important topic. And I'm very inspired every time I speak to young people, every time I talk about this topic. Inshallah, keep in touch. My number and my email and all that will be available. And have a safe, productive day, week, month, year. And let's move towards work for the future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shareen. It's indeed an exciting discourse with you today, and I'm sure that there's a lot more that we can discuss about, hopefully in the coming series. And I think for those who dial in as well, have a look out on LinkedIn, and especially Shareen's LinkedIn. I know she does webinars quite often as well, engages with everyone. So have a look out on that. If you want to know more about the developments on the gig economy and GigXGlobal and things like that. So on behalf of EduCity and our partners, I would like to thank our speaker today, Ms. Shareen Shariza, Dato Abdul Ghani, for spending time with us. And not forgetting also to our participants who have dialed in from all over the country and probably some from beyond borders too. So please continue to stay safe and healthy. Take care of yourself and each other. And now we pass on over to our beautiful MC, Ms. Nabila.
Thank you, Encik Ijlan and Shareen, on the fruitful topic we had just now. Thank you to all participants tuning in. Thank you also to our supporter, the Ministry of Higher Education, and all partners for EdLeadS 2021. Our local partners, Lenovo, CREST, Twimbit, GigXGlobal, Maybank, TikTok, and our international partners, Sensible Soccer and GB8. For registered participants, you will stand a chance to win merchandises from Sensible Soccer. How to win this merchandise? First 100 registered participants who completed all 10 series will definitely get a chance to win this. If you watch all 10 series and be active in the Q&A session, you will stand a chance to win as well. Our grand prize, none other than a signed Manchester United home jersey by current players like Cavani, Rashford, and many more. Participants, you will receive an e-certificate upon joining the survey. And for those who have completed all 10 surveys for each series, you will get a platinum certificate. For the upcoming session, we have Ms. Kaleninar, Executive Vice President, Group Virtual Banking, Maybank, with the title Future of Banking. A little bit teaser of Future of Banking. Digital representation is transforming how people interact and manage their financial affairs on a day-to-day basis. And the progressions in banking technology are continuing to support the future of financial services around the world. An increasing demand for a digital banking experience from millennials and Gen Zs are transforming how the entire banking industry operates, from retail to mobile banking to neobank startups. Technology has its hand on seemingly every aspect of the banking industry. Join us in Future of Banking to discover the influences of technology and how it will continue to launch banking into a digitized future. Please tune into our next series on 21st January, Thursday, 10 a.m. Malaysia time. Get the complete program schedule on edleads.educity.com.my, and for any inquiries, please send us an email at events@educity.com.my. Check out the next video that will provide you an insight on our next series. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you Thursday, 10 a.m.
Oh, video tak play ke tadi? Video ke? Video tak?
One, two, three, four, five, six.